que para mí es un honor, la verdad, muchas gracias por aceptar este espacio y gracias por la oportunidad. Yo quiero iniciar primero felicitándote por todos los trabajos y también iniciando con un rol que a mí desde niño me dejó un poco perturbado, pero ya ahora lo superé, y es Monkey Shine. Monkey Shine se ha considerado para mí una de las películas más emblemáticas para mi cine y todo. Y quisiera preguntarle sobre cómo fue esa evolución de esas películas que has podido interpretar más en tu personaje y sobre qué piensas de ese estilo de dinámica para aquellas personas quienes experimentaron alguna vez esa situación. ¿Cómo fue la experiencia?
Y le puedo agregar lo que puso, ¿no? Okay, Patricia, I will be only translating the questions, the answers I want, because we want to let you talk whatever you want, and later I will translate. So
okay,
feel free to talk.
Okay? Good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you to you. In fact, Jhon was telling that it's really an honor for us to have you.
Oh.
And we start. This is a mixed question. How has been the energy that you have received for all the fans from George Romero, not only from the remake from Tom Savini, the Night of the Living Dead, but also your role for Monkey Shines. And what the people has told you, because this movie, Jhon has said that he's been frightened since he watched it. And for this approach to this character, this kind of situation, tell us about these two roles.
So let's see. I've done several projects with George over the years. I mean, Monkey Shines and Night of the Living Dead, of course. I think that was my chime. Let me just make sure that's off. Okay. So we don't have any more sounds. So I worked on Creepshow. I worked on Two Tales from the Dark Side. And all of them were under George's umbrella. Monkey Shines was a project that I came into to help out. They were all my friends, and I just wanted to help. So I wasn't really planning on being in front of the camera. I did a stunt for them, which is really all I did. Behind the scenes, I was helping with casting and some PA work. We call it PA, which means production assistant. But the rest of the time on Monkey Shines, I was around, but I wasn't really as much a part of that production, if that makes sense. It was a psychologically very scary movie. A little different than a lot of George's work, I think the fans either they loved Monkey Shines or they were disappointed by Monkey Shines because there wasn't more monsters and gore, blood. It was more psychological. So it's interesting that you bring that up because I don't get asked about it very much, which is kind of cool. Do you want to hear more then about Night of the Living Dead or?
Please.
So the first movie I did with George was called Night Riders, which was I think we shot it in 1980, but it was released in 1981. And it was, that was a fantastic experience. It was my first time as an actor ever in front of a camera. So I had been trained as a theater actress, but being in front of a camera is a very different experience. I was so lucky because George is such a wonderful, kind, respectful guy. And I had ideas for my character that he was very open to allowing in. So Night Riders was a very special, and I have to say, I really believe I was blessed to have that as my first experience with a director in front of a camera. I made suggestions, like I said, for my character that he actually incorporated into the script. So when it came time to do Night of the Living Dead, that was Tom Savini pushing for me to be because since he was the director on that film, and George approved it. George liked me, obviously, but it was really Tom Savini that made that happen. George needed to put a new production of Night of the Living Dead forward. I don't know if you know all about that. Probably you do, but it had to do with a copyright, right? Because of the name. So they needed to remake the film, and George chose Tom and said, Tom was perfect for this, to direct this, and they both discussed the script. So Tom had a hand in how the script was going to be developed. And when they were first talking about it, and Tom said, well, I want you to audition for the part of Barbara. I was like, yeah, well, the first movie was really good and very scary. And that character is not me. There's no way in the world I have any interest in portraying a woman who's going to fall apart and then get eaten by zombies. I'm really not interested in doing that, and perpetuating that typical trope. It was fine for the 1960s. That kind of helpless female thing, but not in the 1990s, and certainly not for me as a person. But Tom just said, no, Patty, read the script. He's like, read the script. And then, so I read the script. And I was like, oh, I saw the turning point in Barbara and how she is able to become a badass and, to go from being helpless to being a warrior, to take care of herself and the people around her. So then, of course, I was interested. And Marty Schiff, who was also in Night Riders and in Creepshow, he's a good friend of Tom's. He put me on camera so that I could, for my audition, and we sent the tape. Back in those days, it was a VHS tape. Sent the tape to New York, where they were in pre-production for the show, and I ended up getting the part. But that was extraordinary. Like I said, I had worked on several George Romero productions, and George always worked with the same crew. So all the guys that were on the crew, his designers, his grips and electrics, his directing team, they are all the same people he worked with over the years. And they all knew me because I was part of that. And so when I finally got to be the lead in a movie, they were so supportive and excited for me. It was really extraordinary to be on a set. I mean, I don't even know how often that ever happens when you're on a movie set and the crew knows you and is cheering you on. And that was amazing. It was so amazing. Am I answering your question?
When I translate this, Jhon and Cesar will cry.
Oh.
And I want to add something. I don't know if it's a question. Jhon, allow me to do this. Talking about, like directors breaking genre, because yes, Monkey Shines is really an unexpected movie from yours, but you also did Stuck on You, and we don't imagine Lloyd Kaufman doing a lot comedy. Tell me something little.
About Stuck on You?
Yes, and about, because you want it, because it's like a movie that breaks, because we don't expect seeing Lloyd Kaufman doing a comedy.
Yeah. Again, okay, so... Oh, that's really interesting. Because those movies, Lloyd Kaufman, my experience was not good with them. I know. So I don't know if you really want me to talk about it.
I will ask Jhon. Jhon le pregunté sobre Stuck on You, dice que la experiencia que tuvo con Lloyd no fue buena. ¿Desea saberlo? No, ella pregunta.
Sí, claro.
If you wanna, this is a free space. If you wanna say it, go ahead. Don't worry. If you want it.
So those movies, he's known for trauma, and those movies are misogynistic You know, they're not great for women, and he was very exploitive with actors. Didn't want to pay anything, but wanted you to work your ass off. And there were a couple of times I put my foot down because they wanted some things they wanted to do that would be too sexual, and I said, no, I'm not doing that in this context. You know, not for this money, not for you. That wasn't part of the script originally. You know, that kind of thing. The lead in that movie, they made her do all her hard sex scenes first, because if she was going to refuse to do something, they wanted to know so they could replace her. But they were really cruel about that. It was kind of shocking, you know. I was newer to the business too, so I wasn't experienced with that. I'm grateful I had the wherewithal to say no. You know, no, I won't do that. Because some of the women felt pressured and felt like they had to. You know, I was lucky. I had an agent. My agent was like, "No, you don't have to do that. That's terrible." You know, so I was lucky. But I stayed away from those kinds of movies after that. You know, he has a reputation here in Los Angeles for that kind of stuff. And also, and other kinds of stuff that was not cool. Anyway, the thing about life and life in entertainment industry is that you have good experiences and then you have the not so good experiences, and that gives you information. It gives you experience, and then you can see how do I want my career to go? How do I want my life to go? I don't want to be a part of that. You know, I don't want, and to make a decision then that I'm not even going to, I'm not going to read those scripts or audition for those companies that do those kinds of movies. I mean, we do have a choice. We always have a choice. And I think that as a young performer, as a young actor, that you think you don't have a choice because there's not a lot of jobs out there. So you better take whatever you can get, kind of thing. And that's simply not true. We must make a decision on the type of career you are building for yourself, the type of work you wish to be known for, and setting your standards. You know, it's okay to start off making less money or whatever. That's okay. You start off, but you should at least have then an artistic standard that you're going for, right? If you can't do the financial part, then you must be getting something good out of this experience one way or the other. Maybe it's a filmmaker, you're the director or the writer, you respect, you like what they're trying to do, and you all get experience together. I'm in that interesting position now in my career where I can choose to work for very little money for up and coming young people who maybe want to work with somebody more experienced, or maybe my credentials will help their production to get further along. That's something I can decide to do, which is a joy. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I'm very big. It means a lot, I think, to consider what you want in your life and to start off as a young person in your career with that in mind. Always deciding, what do you want? Where do you want to go? Dream big. Go for it.
I had to say to this before we move out. We know that it's still hard, not only in North America, but every country, for women, because we know the misogynistic and we call it machismo.
Yeah.
In Hollywood, but making that decision as a person, because I'm not a woman, I guess we know that we are men, and sometimes we had privilege, and it's true. Thank you. And you don't have to feel bad because you start in Night Riders. Night Riders is a cult classic, it's an amazing movie.
That's right.
But we will continue. John, después traduzco una respuesta increíble.
Esa tiene la oportunidad.
Ok.
César.
Bueno, pues yo antes que nada quiero decirle que yo amo la película de la noche de los muertos vivientes y bueno, creo que ya lo dijo todo, pero quiero que ella sepa que amo esa película. Mi pregunta va enfocada a Star Trek porque nuestra invitada ha participado en infinidad de series que derivan de Star Trek. Aparecen muchos capítulos haciendo muchos personajes hasta alienígenas. Entonces quiero que nos cuente su experiencia haciendo el rol de diferentes personajes y del amor que ha desarrollado por el universo de Star Trek.
Okay, Cesar is from Mexico. He wants me to tell you that he loves Night of the Living Dead. In fact, he had a channel that is called Night of the Living Short Films, o La Noche de los Cortos Vivientes. And of course, you had appeared in many variations of the Star Trek. Tell us what you love about this saga. And yes, the role from the women in the sci-fi. I want to add something because if I don't ask this, I will kill myself. Also includes your role in Army of Darkness. I love that movie. And you told about Night Riders, so you can skip that one. But you can tell us about, yes, the role in the female, in the woman in the sci-fi. And of course, what do you think about your role in Star Trek in all these crazy seasons?
Yeah. So let's see. Let's go to Army of Darkness first. That was Army of Darkness was, I knew Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi. I knew Bruce he had married a sorority sister of mine. I mean, I've known him since we were young, in college. And I knew about him and Sam making movies. I'm from Chicago. They're from Detroit. It's very close. And so I knew about the filmmaking going on. It was very interesting. And then I got the opportunity because I went to, do you know KNB FX? Howard Berger, Greg Nicotero. Okay. So these guys are friends of mine because they started off, they were boys with Savini, right? So Savini trained them to become the makeup artists that they are today and the filmmakers they are today. And I went to them and I was starving. I needed a job. I said, I don't care what it is. Just, do you have anything? I need some work. And they said, well, actually, we've got a project from Sam Raimi and we need to build an army. And so we need to, you're skinny, you're tall and skinny. We could build the army on you. Will you come in? We'll cast your body. We can give you a day rate, which was a couple $100, which was good, So I said, sure. So I came in and they put me on a wooden frame and they put me in a leotard and then poured plaster and made a plaster cast of my body. It took all day because we did the front and we did the back. And then they said, you know what? There's this other part. And they need to cast this witch. So we could get you the audition. We can't get you the part, but we get you the audition. And I was like, okay, I'd already done Night of the Living Dead, right? So I was a lead in a movie. And I had to audition for Rob Tappert to be the witch. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess that work wasn't good enough. I have to come in and audition. So I did this crazy audition. Crazy. I had no idea what they wanted or what they were going to need me to do because I didn't see a script, until I got there. And then they gave me some of the lines that the witch had, and they just said, go crazy, go nuts with it. So I just went, I was like humping the floor, just so embarrassing. And when I left, I thought, oh my God, if I don't get this part, I will be so mortified, that I did all of that. But I did get the part, obviously. And the makeup involved was extensive. So I had to come in another day or maybe even two, and they paid me for that. Again, I needed the money, so I was grateful. And they cast my head. They built the witch, on that, which was Robert Kurtzman, who was the artist who created the witch. And then we actually even did another movie called The Nut House, I think it was The Nut House. And they put me in that old lady makeup and made me an old lady, and then they beat me up. So it was a stunt job. So I got another day rate out of that. And it just was kind of the job that just kept on giving. So we shot The Witch in one day. And that was a very, very long, hard day. That makeup it took us 4.5 hours, I think, to get into it. And it took 2 hours to get out of it. It was an extraordinary, challenging makeup, but effective, obviously, which is great because they're amazing. They're masters at what they do. And I worked with Bruce, of course. He shot me like 17 times with a shotgun. And at the end, Sam just said, "Hey, just die some way that's really great. Just have a great death." And I'm like, I was so exhausted. It was 17 hours of that makeup. Now I'm, at the end of the day, and I didn't know what else to do. They just shot me all these times. So I just fell forward, boom, on my face. We wrapped that day. And a couple weeks later, Sam and Bruce called me from their car phone and said, "Oh my God, you were the best monster ever." They just loved me. They thought the ending was hilarious. And I was like, okay, good. I don't know. Then I went back and I was in the Army. I was one of the stunt people in the Army. I was the only woman stunt person hired. And that was because they built the Army on my body and they said, "You have to use Patty." And I didn't know that stunt coordinator anymore, so that was, he was a new stunt coordinator. And I don't think he appreciated being told he had to hire me, but I was grateful for the work. That was like 4 days of work. So it was important to me. And I had a lot of friends on that shoot. I knew a lot of the makeup guys, but I also, Bill Moseley, who was my brother in Night of the Living Dead, was the captain of the Deadites. So he was my captain and he was there. I obviously knew Bruce, though he was working his ass off. I didn't really get a chance to chat with him other than to say hello. And, let's see what else. Yeah, it was, and I knew a couple of the stunt guys, but I didn't know the stunt coordinator. Yeah. Anyway, it was tough. It was a tough shoot, but I'm proud of the work. And I thought the movie was great. Bruce was amazing. Amazing. I know. He was just amazing. In the stunt industry, just like in especially since I was mostly, I'm known for my work in the 1990s. Women in science fiction or in horror were, and in the stunt industry, it's very much a boys' world. It's a man's game, right? So we have to kind of play by these other rules in order to get what we're trying to get out of it, which is to create a career for ourselves. But I think science fiction offers more to women. Has always offered more to women because it takes place in the future in a new world. And we can see that people of color or people or women or all can be seen as something different than we're seen in reality, especially in the United States.
And I think it resumes the question from Star Trek, yes?
Yeah, I'm going to keep going into Star Trek, yeah.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I want to show you, yes, in fact, talking about your role, I don't know if time will allow us, only if you want it, do another reunion later of this, we can continue. But yes, in fact, I got a t-shirt from Jurassic Park, and Jhon,
awesome.
Muéstrale. Jhon got something from the collection. California.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. Great.
But go ahead with you. answer from Star Trek.
Sure. Yeah. Star Trek. Well, the great thing about, Star Trek, I had such a blessed, now when I look back, I can see how remarkable the opportunities I had were. And I had this kind of unique skill set of being a stunt person and being an actor. You didn't, in my day, you didn't talk about the fact that you did stunts or the fact you did acting. If I'm on a job and it's a stunt job, I don't talk about being an actor. Because they think if you're doing stunts and you're talking about being an actor, they think you must not be very good at stunts. Or if you're an actor and you talk about doing stunts, they think you must not be a very good actor. So you don't talk about it. You're there to do your job. And so when I was doing stunts on Star Trek, I never talked about being an actor, even though at the same time I'm doing Babylon 5, or I just didn't talk about it. I was lucky enough that the stunt coordinator on all the Star Trek shows, Dennis Matalone, really liked me. He said I was a good size to double a lot of his guest star actresses. So I'm 5'9", and I was slim, so I could double a lot of the women that came through in special parts on Star Trek. I started on Next Generation. I was also Gates McFadden's regular stunt double when she had a gag to do, and Michelle Forbes, who played Ensign Rowe. So I doubled them regularly, and then any guest stars. Or there's also something called nondescript stunts, or ND, and that means it can be anybody. It could be any red shirt. This Ensign Johnson's going to arrive on the planet surface and get blown up. That would be typically me. That would be kind of the jobs I would get. Or they're in the way of something bad about to happen. My family knew that if ever they recognized me on the show and there's Patty, something bad's going to happen. So I was about to die, which happened all the time. But I loved it. I had a uniform in every color, because depending on who I might double, I might be needed in my med lab blue, or I would be in security red, or I'd be on the bridge in gold. It didn't matter. And then when Deep Space Nine was being created, Dennis was brought on at the very beginning as the stunt coordinator. So we were able to be a part of the creation of Deep Space Nine, which was really, really cool. That was very special. And the same with Voyager. So on Deep Space Nine, they hired, it was supposed to be Michelle Forbes. She was groomed to go into Deep Space Nine as that character, as a Bajoran, leadership on that ship, but she didn't want it. And so they hired Nana Visitor. Thank God for me, because I was not only a really good double for Nana, but Nana is just an extraordinarily wonderful person. And I loved her. I still do. I still love her. I think she's incredible. And I doubled Terry Farrell as well, which was great. And then all the ladies that came through. I did over 50 episodes of the Star Treks, of all those 3 shows, 50. So yeah, I'm not credited for most of them, which is fine. It was an amazing experience. It was amazing. I knew, to be part of that Star Trek family. Pretty neat.
Sí, la verdad, estoy muy, muy emocionado. Yo estoy muy, muy alegre, muy contento. También quisiera hacer mi última pregunta, y Andrés yo sé que también la tendrá, y es sobre Dead Air. Dead Air es una historia bastante loca, pero también muy entretenida, porque trata sobre el tema de la locución de radio, pero también hubo momentos turbios, y me gustaría saber cómo es la evolución, a tu perspectiva, de esas temáticas. ¿Qué pudo aprender de ese estilo y más de tu rol?
¿La temática de acción o de la radio?
Ambas, de la radio.
Okay.
Más que todo.
This is the last question is a missed question, but for another genre, that is the action genre. because Jhon saw the movie Dead in the Air. Dead in the Air.
Dead Air. Mm-hmm.
And yes, we, myself and Jhon, we are journalists, social communicators. So we want to know your point of view, not only from the action, because I want to I know you had a small role in Roadhouse. That is also a whole movie. And please, if you want to talk about Roadhouse, I will thank you. But the evolution, of course, from also the women in the action roles.
Action roles. Okay.
In there and Roadhouse, if you want.
Yeah. Okay. So when I was starting off as an actor, that's all I wanted to do was to have action roles. I love action adventure, being some kind of a heroine. You know, I love the idea of the average person being in a situation that forced them to become extraordinary. You know, so you start off with a normal person and something crazy happens and they have to rise to the occasion and become extraordinary. I love that kind of storyline. I think we're all inspired by that. So I love telling stories with action, not gore, not violence, but action. You know, that's why I guess Star Trek really appeals to me, because it's such an optimistic view of the universe, really. You know, it's not dystopian. We're inundated now with dystopian, and that's very depressing. I appreciate the things about Star Trek that keep us optimistic and look forward to mankind being their best, or at least trying to be their best. Because we sure don't see that right now, do we? The world has been really, really traumatized. Anyway, so Roadhouse, I was that was my first official stunt job in Los Angeles, and I had hurt my knee really badly. I had several the night before. I put a spike through my knee, and I had been in the emergency hospital and had all these stitches in my leg, and they wanted to put a cast on my knee to hold it straight. And I said, no, I have a stunt job tomorrow. And they're like, well, you can't do a stunt job. And I said, watch me. Yes, I am. And I did. I went, as you saw, I did that job. The stunt coordinator was Charlie Pacerni, who is a rather famous stunt coordinator in our world here. And he was fantastic. It was really cool to meet Patrick Swayze, of course. Also, that set was just full of what do you want to say? It was very Hollywood. It was very schmoozing, a lot of schmoozing going on, a lot of very beautiful actresses schmoozing the actors. And I was like, what's happening here? You know, plus I was in so much pain because of my leg, and I was nervous about the job. But it went well. They were very good to me. I enjoyed myself enormously. I was grateful. I was very grateful once again. So that was my first stunt job in Los Angeles. And I was determined to do it and have it go well, even though my leg was messed up. Dead Air was, that was one of the very few times, or maybe the only time in my career, that someone has just offered me the part. They just called me up and said, we want you to do this role in this horror movie, directed by Corbin Burnson. And I'm like, really? Wow. And written by Kenny Yackel, who was on Babylon 5. He was a grip on Babylon 5. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Plus, Bill Moseley is going to play my ex-husband. What? He was my brother. He was my captain, and now he's my ex-husband. It's like, that's fantastic, you know? So it was a great shoot. Corbin was a very good director. We had a lot of fun. The other actors were amazing. The guys I was working with, they were great. And it's again kind of that's a psychological thriller, because most of it is happening. Most of the action we're just hearing about, being in a radio station. So we're hearing about, and we're trying to put together what is happening? And then there is something starting to happen, like something's trying to get into the building, and now there's this terrorist, and then there's this thing happening. Is this a zombie outbreak or is it a terrorist attack? We don't know, what's going on. It was great. It was a really good experience. Is there anything else about that I can tell you?
I will answer for Jhon. If you want to talk about that movie more because you love it, go ahead.
I don't know what else to say about it. If there's any particular questions.
Jhon, que si tienes alguna pregunta muy específica sobre Dead Air, dale. Porque ella preguntó si deseas saber algo más. Habló de la psicología, habló de lo increíble que es para ella. Después te digo lo que dijo. De hecho, creo que es el proyecto que llama Hama. Pero entonces, ¿tienes alguna más o pasamos a la final?
No, para mí quedó todo muy claro, la verdad.
Jhon is satisfied, and it will be more satisfying when I translate that question. So, the camera is yours. Tell your social media and tell us about is there any project that we are expecting? I know something called a rose is a rose, something like that.
Oh, okay. Yes, that was one of those small independent films that I love doing. Yes. And it's a comedy. And that's lovely. Actually, that film means a lot to me because I was reconnected to a school chum, a friend of mine from school, and now we're engaged to be married. So we got reconnected on that film and fell in love. It was really sweet. So the movie is very sweet to me. Yes, I wonder where you can see it. If I find a link, I will send it to you so you could see it. Okay, I'll look for the link.
I will translate that to Jhon for he dies in César.
Okay.
César y Jhon, que si consigue un link para ver ella, Rose, a Rose is a Rose, no lo pasa.
Oh, genial.
Yes.
Thank you so much for listening and for asking me to be here. It means a lot. I enjoyed talking about the business with people who are excited about the business. I am on social media. I'm on Instagram at patriciatallman.rocks. I'm on Facebook, just Patricia Tallman, and I'm on Twitter. I'm everywhere. I try to be everywhere. I have a Patreon page, and my interests now, as we talked about a little bit at the very beginning, are how to steer your life in a really positive direction. How do you put the magic back in your life? So I started a business called Magical Living. And that's what my Patreon page is all about, is to help people stay focused on their dreams and to get through the challenging times with a community that's supportive and fun. And then we're all nerds. So, we can nerd out together, and then we talk about things that are exciting to us. And I lead a workshop every month on a topic, and then help people kind of think about what they want to be. Like this month was focus and productivity, and last month was motivation and your why. And we have, mindfulness and core desired feelings and forgiveness and moving through blocks. Those are all topics that we've got coming up. I also have a travel business, which of course got shut down with COVID for a while. But at the end of 2022, I'm leading a big trip to Africa. In the end of 2019, we did the whole country of New Zealand, following the Lord of the Rings all the way through the whole country. And I want to do that again because that was so amazing. So that is another branch of my business, Magical Living. I went through a really, really terrible time about 8-9 years ago, and kind of had a nervous breakdown, and have been building myself back up. Like, what is it I really want to do now? Because what I was doing isn't working anymore. That I need something else. I need to create a life that makes me thrilled to get up every day, instead of be full of dread and sadness. And so that's what I've been doing. And then I share it with my group as I go. And that's why the social medias are important to me. And now you're in my loop. You guys are in my group. You'll be getting emails from us, when we have new things going on. We'll let you know about it. And you'll be getting emails more than you ever wanted to know. Hi, this is Patricia Tallman. I want to welcome you to Night of the Living Short Films with my friend Cesar.
Cesar, don't cry. Cesar, no llores. Okay, okay.
God, thank you so much. Thank you.
My pleasure. Hi, this is Patricia Tallman, and I want to welcome you to Jhon Jatenjor Interviews. Enjoy. Hi, Andreas Martinez. This is Patricia Tallman, sending you much love. And to Andreas Carvajal, I adore you. Thank you so much for hosting me tonight.
I'm speechless. Di lo que quieras, Jhon.
No, primero darle un fuerte aplauso.
Oh,
Bravo.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
No, para nosotros es un honor.
Oh.
Seriously, my pleasure. All right. Well, we'll be in touch, and you let Avery know if you need anything else from us. And I'm going to see about that link for Rose is a Rose is a Rose for the film. So maybe you could see it.
We can send you our short films. In fact, I got a short film now in a festival. It's translated, but I'm expecting that this festival ends so I can. Jhon, le dije que ella me va a enviar el link de ese corto, nosotros que le enviamos los nuestros. Ya sabes que después yo le envío mi corto cuando termine el festival. Y no, lo que quieran decir, yo soy feliz.
Patricia, la
Thank
verdad,
you.
es muy maravilloso con esa oportunidad. Muchas gracias.
Oh,
Thank you
muchas
so much.
gracias. You guys be well. Thank you.
Be well.
Be
Bye
well.
bye.
Bye.
Right.
Bueno, resumiendo esta increíble entrevista, obviamente ya empezamos con George Romero. Ella dice que amó hacer los 4 proyectos que ella hizo en la carrera con él, que son Night Riders. Empezó con Night Riders, o sea, imagínense. Cuentos del lado oscuro, Tales from the Dark Side, Monkey Shines y obviamente La Noche de los Muertos Vivientes. Ok. Sobre Monkey Shines, ella resalta que al igual que Night Riders son 2 proyectos que nadie espera de George Romero, que generalmente pues la gente asocia a George Romero pues con los zombies. Ella dice que sí, que es sorprendente el acercamiento que tuvo hacia el terror psicológico. Ella entiende muy bien por qué las personas quedaron traumadas con esa película, pero que fue una película que tal vez la gente no supo aceptar en su momento. Listo. Sobre Night Riders, es el debut de ella. Pues es un debut fabuloso. Ella dijo que Romero siempre repetía, o sea, el equipo de él siempre fue el mismo para todas las películas. Y hay que entender obviamente cuál es acá el contexto, ¿no? Cuál es nada más el elenco que tiene Night Riders, esta película, esta especie de Mad Max de George Romero. Pues está Ed Harris, está Tom Savini, está Patricia, que es increíble porque de una le dijeron como que sí, tú vas a protagonizar. Ella venía del teatro, y George Romero tuvo fe en ella, fe constante, y dijo, no, tú vas a protagonizar esta película. ¿Qué es lo que sucedió con Night of the Living Dead? Por una cuestión de derechos, pues esa película siempre Romero le quiso hacer el remake. Ocurrió algo que Romero le dijo, mira, la única persona que le puedo confiar esa película es a ti, Tom Savini. Tom Savini llamó a Patricia, pues obviamente la había visto en Night Riders, dijo, quiero que protagonices Night of the Living Dead. Ella al principio dijo que no, porque dijo, yo no me veo haciendo un papel donde pues otra vez repitiendo el rol de Bárbara, la mujer con miedo. Dijo, espera, tienes que leer el nuevo guión. El nuevo guión es la perspectiva de Bárbara y de cómo sobrevivió ella. Gracias a este cambio, fue este solo cambio en el guión lo que llevó a que ella hiciera ese papel, una Bárbara más fuerte. Obviamente sabemos, acá hay un dato muy importante, ¿no? Ella actuó con Bill Moseley. Le hice un paréntesis y le dije que, hablando de películas de que nadie se imagina los directores, cómo fue el trabajar en Stuck on You, pues de Lloyd Kaufman. Y ella dice que fue una experiencia que no le agradó mucho, pero le enseñó bastante. ¿En qué sentido? Bueno, sabemos que Lloyd Kaufman fue que creó toda la cuestión del trauma y de todo lo, pues digamos, como esta cuestión de este cine escatológico. Esta es una comedia sexual, pero ella dice que se sintió mal porque la protagonista como que le pidieron grabar las escenas fuertes de sexo y ella aceptó, pero de una manera como, o sea, como por hacer, por así decirlo. Y fue incómodo. Patricia dijo, yo no voy a hacer escenas de sexo en esta película porque no me están pagando lo que es, y yo no acepto hacer eso. Dice que hubo mucha presión en ese set con las mujeres para que hicieran esas escenas, que esto la llevó a tomar la determinación, dijo, yo no voy a hacer este tipo de proyectos y me voy a enfocar, acá me adelanto, en mostrar a la mujer en el cine de acción y en el cine de ciencia ficción. La mujer en los roles de ciencia ficción, bueno, yo tuve que preguntarle sobre El Ejército de la Oscuridad de Sam Raimi, que es una de mis películas favoritas. Ella tiene, digamos, como que recuerdos agridulces. Bueno, los agrios. Ella fue contratada, se le pidió, obviamente dice que le pagaron muy bien, y ella tuvo 2 roles ahí, ya digo en qué, para hacer de la bruja. Sabes muy bien que la escena de la bruja es una de las mejores escenas de esa película, pero ella dice que se le hizo raro que le pidieran, no lo dijo en mala manera, que le pidieran que audicionara, y ella dijo, pero ¿no vieron La Noche de los Muertos Vivientes? O sea, listo, yo audiciono, lo hago, no importa. Más de 17 horas de trabajo entre el maquillaje, la grabación, creo que fueron 2 horas de grabación de esa escena, y la desmaquillada. Es un maquillaje complejísimo. La grabación, creo que fueron 2 horas de grabación de esa escena, y la desmaquillada. Es un maquillaje complejísimo. Pero fue tan bueno su trabajo, y eso no se lo dijo solo el director, sino se lo diría a cualquier persona, fuiste la mejor muerte en toda la película. Y fue una locura, porque ella se entregó tanto a esa escena, que pues si bien recuerda, ella se da un golpe fuertísimo en la cabeza, da vueltas, pero fue increíble. Dije, listo, no, cobro mi cheque, la vuelven a llamar. Dato curioso, vuelve acá a trabajar con Bill Moseley, porque Bill Moseley es el líder del Ejército de los Muertos, acá, y ella le dice, no, ahora tú tienes que ser una de las coordinadoras de dobles y está en el Ejército de los Muertos. Por eso es que ella aparece en esa escena especial de Mad Max, en ese carro gigante y todo, y pues ella dice que eso le enseñó a valorar más el rol de Stone, y acá viene Star Trek. Ella hizo 50 episodios entre Star Trek Next Generation, Generations, Voyager y Deep Space Nine. Dice que es muy gracioso porque ella sabía muy bien que pidió que la llamaran no como actriz, sino como coordinadora de dobles. Y en dar a entender de que, claro, yo tengo, no me llamen actriz porque técnicamente si yo soy coordinadora, soy actriz. O sea, tiene ese valor. No que dice que para cambiar esa cuestión de desvalorizar, de que tratémosla nada más, o sea, como la actriz que es de doble y eso, ¿no? Un Stone Coordinator es un actor y a la vez un coordinador de dobles. Generalmente le llaman para escenas de muertes, pero también hizo cuanta locura en esa serie. Dice que lo que más le fascina de Star Trek es que, a diferencia de las distopías, esta es una historia positiva. Dice que la ciencia ficción nos muestra cómo será el mundo del futuro, y si en el mundo del futuro hay mujeres líderes, hay mujeres fuertes, pues dice que ella ama eso de Star Trek. Y pues imagínate, dice, o sea, imagínate el yo haber estado en el Voyager todos esos años. Estuvo en 4 temporadas distintas de Star Trek. Creo que muy pocas personas se pueden dar ese lujo. Ah, bueno, un dato otra vez del Ejército de los Muertos. Dice que aunque no pudo hablar con Bruce Campbell, sí generó grandes amistades con todo el equipo. Y otro dato interesante, el equipo de maquillaje de ella era como una serie de personas que fueron entrenadas por Tom Savini y que pasaron a formar este equipo de maquillaje de esta película. Dead Air y la importancia del rol de las mujeres en el cine de acción. Obviamente, bueno, acá empiezo. Resaltando la importancia de su trabajo de dobles, dice que obviamente la recuerda mucho por lo que hizo en los 90. Hay que recordar que ella fue la doble de Laura Dern en Jurassic Park. Obviamente también fue la doble, pero tuvo escenas también en California. Y Dead Air es su película favorita. ¿Por qué? Por los siguientes elementos. Dice que Dead Air se hizo en un punto de la carrera donde ella técnicamente podía decir lo que quisiera hacer. Dice, fue el único rol donde obviamente este directorazo Corbin Burnson le dijo, es que yo lo escribí para ti. Ese rol fue escrito para ti. Le dijo, pero venga, usted me está llamando, o sea, coloca esta escena. usted me está llamando para hacer una película con usted, con David Moscow, vuelvo a repetir, con Bill Moseley, y es un thriller, sí, psicológico. Digo, sí, fue la mejor experiencia de su vida porque, y tú lo sabes muy bien, que ese rol fue escrito para ella. Nadie más hubiera podido interpretar ese rol como ella lo hace. Ahora, sobre el cine de acción, tuve que aprovechar y preguntarle sobre Roadhouse. Yo pensé que era una respuesta negativa y no. De hecho, dice que amó ese set. Bueno, para los que no lo recuerdan, Roadhouse es una película de culto de acción. Dice que sí, que todo lo que se ha dicho de esa película es real. Dice que ella en su trabajo de dobles, entendió también que ella fue una de las muchas nenas, que ella lo dijo así con la palabra, que contrataron, porque la película dice que era un set lleno de puras mujeres en bikini, pero era un set gigantesco, pero que en ningún momento ella se sintió ofendida, sino al contrario, era muy, muy divertido ese set. Ella se rompió la pierna haciendo la película en esa escena de dobles durísima, y aún así ella dijo, yo al otro día voy a grabar porque me estoy divirtiendo. Dice que obvio conoció a Patrick Swayze, dice que eso fue para ella una experiencia hermosísima, pero es que quiero, aquí como ya para cerrar esta respuesta, pues quiero demostrar cómo era el set. O sea, a ver, Roadhouse es una película, está Patrick Swayze, Kelly Lynch, Sam Elliott, Ben Gazzara, fue dirigida por Rodney Harrington, es una producción gigantesca. Bueno, claro, A Rose is a Rose is a Rose es un proyecto con el que, digamos, ella retoma la actuación. Ella dice que llegó a un nivel donde dice, ahora yo le quiero ayudar por menos precio a nuevos cineastas. Ya probé todo lo que es los grandes sets, quiero hacer eso. Dice que es un proyecto muy lindo, es un proyecto muy bonito, donde pues nos da, tal vez este canal tenga el honor de reseñarlo. Es como una historia de un reencuentro amoroso muy, muy bello. Y el por qué ella se retiró. Dice que pasó por una crisis muy dura hace 8 años, y esa crisis la llevó a tomar la determinación de crear 2 proyectos. Uno es un Patreon, que nos lo entrega acá en el canal, donde apoya proyectos, es como una especie de reunión de personas para positivismo, pero manejan temas distintos, ayudan a la gente. Y el otro es que tiene una agencia de viajes, y ella ya hizo un tour con esa agencia antes de que empezara el COVID por Nueva Zelanda, por los sets del Señor de los Anillos, y que el otro año va a hacer un tour por África. Entonces, nada, esta es la vida de esta increíble mujer.